Have you ever found yourself staring at someone else's success, feeling that crushing weight of inadequacy pressing down on your chest? That moment when scrolling through social media becomes a painful reminder of all the places you haven't reached yet. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our future videos. Stay with me, because what you're about to discover might completely transform how you measure your worth in this world. We live in an age of constant comparison, where everyone's highlight reels are available for viewing 24/7. The perfectly edited photos, the career milestones, the seemingly effortless achievements, they create an illusion that somehow everyone else has figured out the secret path to success while you're still struggling to find the trailhead. Has this ever happened to you? That moment when looking at others' journeys makes your own path seem insignificant or misguided? But here's the truth that Neville Goddard understood so profoundly. The moment you measure yourself against the noise of others, you lose sight of your own magnificent transformation. When your eyes are fixed on where you haven't arrived, you miss the incredible distance you've already traveled. Your unique journey, with all its detours, obstacles, and personal victories, becomes invisible to you. What most people fail to realize is that progress isn't born from luck or random chance. Every step forward you've taken represents intentional effort and persistence. Those obstacles you've overcome, they weren't conquered by some stroke of fortune. They fell because you refused to surrender, because something within you was stronger than the challenge before you. The distance between where you started and where you stand today isn't measured in miles or achievements. It's measured in decisions, in moments when giving up seemed easier, but you chose to continue anyway. That resilience, that inner discipline that kept you moving forward when no one was watching or applauding, that's the true measure of your journey. Consider for a moment where you were 1 year ago, 5 years ago, or even a decade past. The person you were then is gone, transformed through every challenge, every setback, every small victory into who you are today. That transformation itself is evidence of your power, but we often fail to acknowledge it because we're too busy looking sideways instead of backward. What would happen if, just for today, you stopped comparing your chapter 3 to someone else's chapter 20? What might you discover about your own strength if you turned your attention to the mountains you've already climbed instead of staring at peaks others have reached? Stay with me as we explore how shifting your perspective from external comparison to internal progress might be the very key that unlocks your greatest potential. If these ideas about personal growth and honoring your journey resonate with you, hit that subscribe button and become part of a community dedicated to authentic transformation. Each video builds on these principles, providing new perspectives that illuminate your unique path forward. When you truly grasp this perspective shift, something remarkable begins to happen. The lens through which you view your life transforms. That nagging voice of comparison that once dominated your thoughts gradually fades, replaced by a profound recognition of your own evolution. You see, the person who began this journey no longer exists. They've been replaced by someone stronger, wiser, and more resilient. This isn't just poetic language. It's a fundamental truth about the human experience. Each challenge you face, each obstacle you overcome, each insight you gain literally rewires your neural pathways, creating a new version of yourself. The doubts that plagued you before have been answered through your actions, not your words. This revelation carries immense power when fully embraced. Think about a specific challenge you faced 3 years ago that seemed insurmountable at the time. Remember the anxiety, the uncertainty, the fear that gripped you. Now look at how you navigate similar situations today. That transformation didn't happen overnight. It was forged in the crucible of experience, decision by decision, moment by moment. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring the hidden mechanism behind sustainable growth. What I've discovered through years of studying Neville Goddard's teachings and observing countless personal transformations is that momentum, true lasting momentum, isn't built on striving for perfection. It's built on the foundation of acknowledging and appreciating progress. This mindset shift represents a complete reversal of how most people approach their journey. Instead of fixating on the gap between where you are and where you want to be, you begin to honor the distance between where you started and where you stand today. This isn't about lowering your standards or settling for less. It's about recognizing that each step forward contains valuable energy that fuels the next. Think of appreciation as the hidden catalyst that transforms effort into sustainable movement. When you take a moment to truly acknowledge how far you've come, you activate something profound within your consciousness. You generate a peculiar type of energy that makes the next step not just possible, but inevitable. This is how mountains are climbed, not in one impossible leap, but through thousands of steps, each one acknowledged and valued. Behind the scenes of every overnight success lies this fundamental truth. Momentum is never about speed, it's about consistency powered by appreciation. The world-class athlete doesn't maintain their discipline through self-criticism. They cultivate an acute awareness of incremental improvements that others might overlook. The successful entrepreneur doesn't build an empire through constant dissatisfaction. They recognize and build upon small victories that create unstoppable forward movement. This revelation completely transforms how we approach challenges. Instead of being intimidated by the magnitude of what lies ahead, we draw strength from what's already behind us. Each milestone becomes not just a marker of progress, but a source of energy for what comes next. If you recognize this pattern in your own life journey, write in the comments, "I see my evolution." Now let's explore how this same principle applies when we face the inevitable roadblocks that threaten to derail our progress. Those roadblocks often take the form of an invisible thief that silently robs us of our power day after day. This thief doesn't break down your door or announce its presence. It operates in the shadows of your mind, stealing something far more valuable than material possessions. I'm talking about comparison, perhaps the most insidious barrier to authentic growth. When you measure yourself against others, something profound happens beneath the surface of your consciousness. You unknowingly surrender your power. The energy that could be directed toward your unique path gets diverted into a fruitless exercise of measuring yourself on a scale that was never designed for you. It's like trying to judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, fundamentally misaligned with your authentic design. This misalignment creates a hidden fracture in your momentum. Each time you compare your journey to someone else's, you disconnect from the very source of your strength, your personal evolution, the unique constellation of experiences, talents, and insights that make your path extraordinary becomes invisible when viewed through the lens of comparison. Behind the scenes of every moment of comparison lies a decision to value external validation over internal growth. Each time you choose to measure yourself against another person's journey, you're essentially saying, "My progress isn't enough." This subtle but devastating mindset shift poisons the well of your own achievement. Think of progress as a garden that requires constant tending. Comparison is like pouring toxic chemicals onto delicate new growth. It creates an environment where doubt and inadequacy flourish while confidence and clarity wither. What begins as a casual observation, "They're so much further along than I am," quickly transforms into a corrosive narrative that weakens your resolve and blurs the vision of what's truly possible for you. The revelation that changed everything for me was recognizing that comparison doesn't just steal joy in the moment. It steals future joy by diminishing your capacity to recognize and build upon your unique progress. It's a compound theft that affects not just how you feel today, but the trajectory of your entire journey. This understanding brings us to a pivotal crossroads in personal development. You can continue allowing this thief to operate unchecked, or you can implement the precise mindset architecture that Neville Goddard and other masters have used to redirect this energy. The blueprint involves a fundamental shift from external validation to internal navigation, from looking sideways to looking inward and backward at your own path. The transformation happens when you begin celebrating your achievements instead of diminishing them in the shadow of others. When you start acknowledging the unique obstacles you've overcome rather than fixating on someone else's highlight reel. This isn't just positive thinking, it's strategic energy allocation that protects your momentum from unnecessary leakage. If you've ever felt the weight of comparison draining your energy, write in the comments, "I'm reclaiming my power." Now, let's examine how this same principle applies when we confront the inevitable voice of doubt that whispers we aren't making progress fast enough. That voice of doubt often speaks loudest in the moments when we're scrolling through someone else's highlight reel. What's happening in those moments goes far beyond a simple emotional reaction. It's actually a profound energy transfer that few people recognize. Your strength isn't diminished by any lack of capability within you. It's diminished by the voluntary surrender of your attention to paths that aren't your own. Think of your attention as a form of currency, perhaps the most valuable currency you possess. Every time you focus on someone else's journey with envy or comparison, you're essentially making a withdrawal from your own account and depositing it into a fund that pays you no interest. The revelation here isn't just psychological, it's energetic. The moment you begin comparing, you literally transfer your power away from your authentic path. This power transfer creates a disconnect between you and your potential. It's like trying to drive a car while constantly looking out the side window at other vehicles. You'll inevitably drift off course. Your unique blueprint for success requires your full attention, your complete energy, your undivided focus. Any diversion of that focus creates a leak in your manifestation pipeline. Now, I want to go even deeper into the mechanics of this phenomenon. Every single moment you spend envying another person's achievements is a moment that could have been invested in your own evolution. This isn't just philosophical wisdom, it's practical energy management. Consider that your cognitive and creative resources are finite in any given day. When you allocate those resources toward comparison, you're literally depleting what's available for your own growth. Behind the scenes of every great achievement lies a fundamental truth. Masters focus their energy inward and forward, not sideways. They understand that energy spent on envy is energy unavailable for innovation, refinement, and progress. They've discovered that attention is the hidden driver of transformation. What you consistently give your attention to expands, whether it's your own potential or someone else's highlight reel. This understanding reveals the hidden architecture of success. Those who advance most rapidly aren't necessarily more talented or privileged, they're simply more focused. They've developed the rare discipline of channeling their full energies toward their own development rather than dispersing it through comparison. They don't waste precious mental bandwidth wondering why someone else is further along. Instead, they direct that bandwidth toward refining their skills and moving closer to their goals. The mindset shift occurs when you begin to view your attention as your most precious asset, one that deserves to be invested wisely rather than squandered on comparisons that yield no return. This isn't about ignoring others or becoming self-absorbed. It's about recognizing the profound opportunity cost of misallocated attention. The breakthrough comes when you realize that the energy currently being drained by comparison could be redirected toward the very areas of growth that would most fulfill you. Imagine what could happen if all the mental energy spent measuring yourself against others was channeled into building yourself instead. If you recognize this pattern of energy leakage in your life, write in the comments, "I'm redirecting my energy." Let's examine how this principle transforms when we understand the true source of authentic achievement and what really separates those who advance from those who remain stuck. The true architecture of achievement reveals itself when we look at those who've reached extraordinary heights in any field. What separates them isn't some magical talent or fortunate circumstance. It's their unwavering focus on consistency within their own journey. Neville Goddard understood this blueprint intimately. True greatness isn't discovered by constantly looking sideways at what others are doing. It emerges from the disciplined commitment to your unique path. Think of it like a marathon runner who keeps glancing at competitors. The moment their focus shifts from their own rhythm and breathing to someone else's pace, they stumble. Their stride breaks, their breathing pattern disrupts, and precious seconds are lost. This same principle operates in every dimension of personal development. The moment your attention shifts from your own consistent progress to someone else's position, your momentum falters. Join us on this continuing exploration of personal development by subscribing now. When you subscribe, you're connecting with thousands of others who understand that true progress isn't about comparison, but about honoring your own evolution and the distance you've already traveled. This paradigm shift from comparison to consistency completely transforms how you approach your journey. Instead of the exhausting oscillation between feeling ahead or behind others, you develop a steady awareness of your own rhythm. The masters in any field aren't obsessed with outpacing others. They're obsessed with maintaining unwavering consistency in their practice, regardless of who's watching or what others are achieving. Behind the scenes of this consistency lies a fundamental truth about how progress actually happens. It's rarely through dramatic leaps, but through the accumulated power of small, consistent actions that compound over time. The ecosystem of your success depends not on sporadic bursts of inspiration, but on the reliable execution of fundamentals, day after day, regardless of mood or circumstance. Now I want to go even deeper into the most destructive lie that comparison tells us. When we compare ourselves to others, our minds unconsciously adopt a dangerous falsehood that success operates in a zero-sum framework. This distortion suggests that someone else's achievement somehow diminishes what's available to you, as if there's a limited supply of success that gets depleted with each person who claims their share. This perspective creates a scarcity mentality that blinds you to the abundant nature of potential. The comparing mind whispers that their light diminishes yours, when in reality the universe operates on principles of expansion, not limitation. Your neighbor's garden blooming doesn't steal sunlight from yours. It actually adds beauty to the entire landscape. This revelation transforms how we view others' achievements. Instead of feeling threatened by someone else's progress, we can recognize it as evidence of what's possible in the broader ecosystem of human potential. Their success doesn't restrict your opportunities. It actually expands the collective understanding of what can be accomplished. The breakthrough comes when you realize that the only true competition exists within yourself, between who you are today and who you're capable of becoming tomorrow. This internal orientation frees you from the prison of comparison and opens the gateway to authentic achievement. When your measuring stick becomes your past self rather than other people, you enter a dimension of growth that has no ceiling. If you're ready to release the illusion that someone else's success limits yours, write in the comments, "Abundance has no limits." Let's explore how shifting your perspective backward instead of sideways creates the most powerful antidote to the poison of comparison. The most powerful remedy for comparison isn't found in complex techniques or elaborate mindset exercises. It's discovered in a simple shift of perspective. When you find yourself caught in the comparison trap, the antidote isn't looking away from others. It's intentionally looking backward at your own journey. This perspective adjustment creates an immediate recalibration in your psychology that comparison simply cannot survive. Think of your journey as a mountain climb. The comparison mindset keeps your gaze fixed on climbers who appear to be higher on the mountain, creating feelings of inadequacy and frustration. But when you turn around and look back at the distance you've already covered, the valleys you've crossed, the obstacles you've navigated, the sheer vertical climbs you've conquered, something transformative happens in your consciousness. This backward glance reveals a map of resilience that belongs exclusively to you. The terrain you've traversed contains unique challenges that others never faced, distinctive obstacles that required your specific strengths to overcome. This perspective instantly dissolves the illusion that all paths are equal and all journeys comparable. Your path has been uniquely yours, with its own timeline, its own lessons, and its own victories. Behind the scenes of this perspective shift lies a profound revelation about measurement itself. When you truly understand the architecture of personal evolution, you realize there is only one valid metric for your progress: the distance between who you were and who you are becoming. Every other measuring stick is arbitrary and meaningless when applied to your unique journey. Now, I want to go even deeper into this principle. Your growth, regardless of how it compares to anyone else's, represents authentic victory that deserves acknowledgement. Even a single step forward from where you began contains more meaning than 1,000 steps taken by someone on a different path. This isn't motivational rhetoric. It's the fundamental truth about how personal development actually works. The breakthrough happens when you recognize that the only standard worth measuring against is your past self. This metric completely transforms your relationship with progress. Suddenly, small advancements that seemed insignificant when compared to others' achievements take on their true significance. The habit you've maintained for a week, the skill you've practiced for a month, the mindset shift you've cultivated through consistent effort, these become visible as the remarkable achievements they truly are. This perspective creates a profound psychological restoration. Instead of constantly feeling behind, you begin to appreciate the wisdom, strength, and capability you've already developed. You recognize that the obstacles that once seemed insurmountable are now part of your history, conquered through persistence and transformed into foundation stones for your continued advancement. The illumination comes when you realize that your journey isn't about matching someone else's timeline or replicating their path. It's about honoring the unique trajectory that has shaped you into who you are today and continues to guide who you're becoming. When you embrace this truth, comparison loses its power, replaced by genuine appreciation for your unique evolution. If you're committed to measuring yourself against your own growth rather than others' journeys, write in the comments, "My path, my pace." Let's explore how this shift in perspective transforms your relationship with gratitude and creates the essential fuel for unstoppable momentum. This perspective shift unlocks another dimension of your journey, the profound relationship between gratitude and momentum. When caught in comparison's grip, you lose access to perhaps the most powerful fuel source for continued growth, appreciation for your own progress. This isn't just positive thinking, it's the actual mechanism through which sustainable momentum is generated. Think of gratitude as the hidden catalyst in personal transformation. When you genuinely appreciate how far you've come, something remarkable happens in your nervous system. That appreciation ignites belief in your capabilities, creating a biochemical and psychological state that makes continued progress not just possible, but natural. This activation of belief through gratitude creates the precise energetic signature needed to maintain forward movement, even when faced with obstacles. Behind the scenes of every stalled journey, you'll almost always find the same pattern, a breakdown in the gratitude circuit. When comparison steals your attention, it simultaneously shuts down your capacity to recognize and value your own achievements. The momentum that was once building through appreciation gets diverted into the endless void of not enough, creating a deficit in the very energy needed to continue advancing. Now, I want to go even deeper into a revelation that completely transforms how we view the success of others. Every achievement you admire in someone else's life was built through failures and sacrifices that remain invisible to you. The polished presentation you see, the accomplishment, the milestone, the breakthrough, represents only the tip of a massive iceberg of struggle that remains hidden beneath the surface. This understanding illuminates the fundamental flaw in comparison. When you measure your beginning against someone else's middle chapter, you're creating a false equivalence that distorts reality. The impressive results you witness in others' lives weren't manifested overnight through some magical formula you're missing. They were forged through countless hours of unseen effort, through failures that taught crucial lessons, through persistence when giving up seemed like the only option. The revelation comes when you recognize that what appears as an overnight success to observers is actually the culmination of years of backstage preparation that no one witnessed. The entrepreneur whose business suddenly took off likely endured years of rejection and near bankruptcy before the breakthrough. The artist whose work suddenly got discovered likely produced thousands of pieces that never saw recognition. The transformation that seems effortless to outside eyes was built through struggle and sacrifice behind the curtain. This insight doesn't diminish others' achievements, it places them in their proper context. And in doing so, it restores something precious that comparison steals: patience with your own journey and persistence through inevitable challenges. When you understand the true architecture of achievement, you stop expecting immediate results and develop the resilience to continue building step by step, knowing that the unseen foundation is just as important as the visible results. If this perspective on the hidden struggles behind success resonates with you, write in the comments, "I honor the full journey." Let's explore how your past provides undeniable evidence of your capacity, creating the foundation for unshakable self-belief. Your journey contains a sequence of chapters, each building upon the last. When you compare your opening chapters to someone else's climactic moments, you're engaging in a subtle but devastating form of self-theft. Think about it. Would you judge a novel by comparing its introduction to another book's resolution? Of course not. Yet we do this to ourselves constantly, measuring our first steps against someone else's thousand-mile journey. This misalignment creates a distortion field that makes authentic progress nearly impossible to recognize. It's like trying to evaluate a seedling by comparing it to a 100-year-old oak. The comparison isn't just unfair, it's fundamentally disconnected from reality. What's happening in this moment isn't just emotional discouragement, it's a genuine theft of your peace, your clarity, and ultimately your capacity for persistence. Behind the scenes of this comparison lies a profound truth about development. Every journey unfolds according to its unique timeline. The person whose achievement you envy may have spent years in preparation, faced distinctive challenges that forged necessary skills, or navigated setbacks that aren't visible in their current success. When you measure your beginning against their middle, you're creating an illusory standard that robs you of the patience needed for authentic growth. Now I want to go even deeper into how to break free from this cycle. The solution isn't passive acceptance or vague hopes that comparison will simply fade away. It requires a declaration of war, a conscious, deliberate decision to eliminate comparison from your thoughts and conversations. This isn't a gentle suggestion, it's a vital act of self-preservation that protects your momentum and reclaims your power. This declaration means actively catching yourself in moments of comparison and immediately redirecting your focus. It means developing an almost vigilant awareness of when your attention drifts sideways instead of remaining fixed on your own path. The transformation happens when you replace the comparison habit with two powerful alternatives: focused attention on your personal journey and genuine gratitude for the progress you've already made. The revelation emerges when you recognize that the only valid measuring stick is your past self. This creates a blueprint for advancement that's uniquely calibrated to your journey. Instead of the chaotic oscillation between feeling ahead or behind others, you develop a clear awareness of your own evolution. This awareness creates a stable foundation for continued growth that comparison simply cannot provide. The internal architecture of this mindset shift transforms not just how you feel, but how you advance. When your attention remains focused on your own progress rather than others' positions, you access a dimension of growth that has no ceiling and no limitations. You reclaim the energy that was being drained through comparison and redirect it toward the very areas that will create meaningful advancement in your life. If you're ready to declare war on comparison and reclaim your authentic journey, write in the comments, "My journey, my timeline." Let's explore how progress itself provides indisputable evidence of your capability, creating the foundation for unshakable belief in what's possible. The journey of personal evolution reveals a profound truth that most overlook. Progress itself stands as undeniable evidence of your capability. Unlike empty affirmations or wishful thinking, your forward movement, no matter how seemingly insignificant, serves as concrete, tangible proof of your strength and potential. This isn't motivational rhetoric, it's a fundamental reality about the architecture of achievement. Think of progress as a silent witness that never lies, never flatters, and never exaggerates. It simply exists as irrefutable evidence that you possess the capacity for growth and transformation. The distance between where you began and where you stand today wasn't covered by accident or luck. It was traversed through your choices, your persistence, and your resilience. That distance itself serves as the most reliable testimony to what you're truly capable of achieving. Behind the scenes of every moment of progress lies a constellation of inner resources that many fail to recognize. Each step forward required something from you: discipline when it would have been easier to quit, courage when fear suggested retreat, persistence when obstacles appeared insurmountable. The fact that you continued moving forward reveals capacities within you that no external validation could ever provide. Now, I want to go even deeper into a critical insight that transforms how we recognize our own evolution. While many wait for dramatic breakthroughs or monumental achievements to validate their journey, they miss the profound significance of incremental progress. The architecture of true growth is rarely built through spectacular leaps, but through the steady accumulation of small steps that compound over time. This revelation shifts how we perceive our daily actions. Every habit maintained, every challenge faced, every obstacle navigated. These aren't merely activities, they're valuable receipts of your growth. They form an irrefutable paper trail of transformation that documents your evolving capabilities. Yet so many dismiss these receipts, filing them away as insignificant while waiting for some grand marker of progress that may never arrive in the form they imagine. The illumination comes when you recognize that what feels like slow, unremarkable progress is actually the foundation upon which all sustainable achievement is built. The daily disciplines that seem invisible to others, and sometimes even to yourself, are silently accumulating into formidable evidence of your capacity. like compound interest that appears minimal at first but eventually creates exponential returns. These small steps forward are quietly building momentum that will eventually become unstoppable. This perspective completely transforms your relationship with so-called small wins. Instead of dismissing them as insignificant, you begin to recognize them as crucial links in the chain of your evolution. The morning you woke up early despite wanting to sleep in, the challenge you faced despite the temptation to avoid it, the skill you practiced despite feeling you weren't making progress, each represents a deposit in the account of your growth that is steadily accumulating interest. If you're beginning to recognize the value of your incremental progress instead of waiting for dramatic breakthroughs, write in the comments, "Small steps create big journeys." Let's explore how this evidence of progress serves as the most powerful testimony against the voice of doubt that tries to undermine your belief in what's possible. The evidence of your progress becomes your most powerful ally when the inevitable voice of doubt arises, whether from external critics or your own internal dialogue. When uncertainty creeps in, when criticism attempts to undermine your confidence, your progress stands as the loudest and most irrefutable testimony to your capabilities. This isn't abstract philosophy. It's a practical framework for navigating the psychological landscape of achievement. Think of progress as a silent advocate that speaks volumes about who you truly are. While criticism and doubt rely on speculation about what you can't do, progress showcases what you've already done. The record of your effort, your discipline, your persistence creates a body of evidence that stands firm against both external skepticism and internal uncertainty. This evidence doesn't require elaborate defense or explanation. It simply exists as undeniable proof of your capability. Behind the scenes of every achievement is this fundamental truth. The person who survived past challenges contains within them the capacity to overcome future obstacles. The fact that you've already navigated difficulties, already pushed through resistance, already evolved beyond previous limitations serves as the most reliable indicator of your continued capacity for growth. This isn't wishful thinking, it's pattern recognition based on demonstrated evidence. Now, I want to go even deeper into a revelation that completely transforms how we approach validation. Most people spend enormous energy attempting to convince others of their potential, seeking approval, recognition, and confirmation from external sources. Yet the most powerful verdict on your journey doesn't come from outside validation, but from the tangible evidence of your own growth. This insight creates a profound shift in where you seek affirmation. Instead of the exhausting pursuit of external approval, you begin to recognize that the most reliable testimony has already been written in the story of your progress. The blueprint of your capability isn't found in others' opinions, but in the measurable distance between who you were and who you've become. That distance itself speaks louder than any praise or criticism ever could. The illumination comes when you realize you no longer need to argue with doubt, whether from others or yourself. When uncertainty whispers that you can't, your progress has already proven that you can and have. When fear suggests you'll fail, your journey showcases previous obstacles already conquered. This isn't motivational rhetoric, it's a strategic realignment with the reality of your demonstrated capacity. This perspective creates a profound psychological liberation, rather than depending on external validation that may never come or may shift with the winds of opinion. You ground your confidence in the concrete evidence of your own evolution. This evidence-based approach to self-belief doesn't rely on empty affirmations, but on the undeniable reality of what you've already proven possible through your actions. The revelation transforms how you respond when doubt surfaces. Instead of becoming defensive or seeking reassurance, you simply direct your attention to the record of your progress. the challenges overcome, the skills developed, the obstacles navigated. This record stands as the most powerful testimony available, requiring no debate, no justification, and no external confirmation. If you recognize the power of letting your progress speak for itself instead of seeking constant validation, write in the comments, "My progress is my proof." Let's explore how this evidence-based approach to confidence transforms when we understand that progress isn't always dramatic, but often comes through consistent small actions that compound over time. The hidden architecture of meaningful growth reveals itself when we look closely at how progress actually manifests in our lives. One of the most significant revelations along this journey is recognizing that true advancement rarely arrives through spectacular overnight transformations. The breakthrough moments that appear dramatic to outside observers are almost always the visible culmination of countless invisible steps taken consistently over time. This insight completely reshapes how we approach our development. Most people abandon their paths because they expect progress to be dramatic, visible, and constant. When they don't see spectacular results quickly, they assume something's wrong with their approach, or worse, with themselves. But this expectation fundamentally misunderstands the mechanics of authentic growth. Behind the scenes of every meaningful transformation lies the same blueprint: consistent, seemingly small actions compounded over time. The novelist who writes 500 words daily, the athlete who adds one more repetition each week, the entrepreneur who makes one more call each day. These apparently modest steps create the foundation for what eventually appears as overnight success to outside observers. This revelation isn't just encouraging, it's liberating. It means you don't need grand, heroic actions to create significant change. You simply need persistence, the willingness to continue making small, consistent choices that align with your vision, regardless of whether anyone notices or applauds. Progress isn't about perfection. It's about the accumulated power of daily decisions that eventually create unstoppable momentum. Now, I want to go even deeper into what constitutes true achievement in this journey. When we strip away the external metrics and social validation that often distort our perception of success, we discover something profound. The most meaningful accomplishment isn't outperforming others, but surpassing who you used to be. This internal benchmark creates an entirely different relationship with progress. This perspective shift transforms how you measure your advancement. Instead of the exhausting oscillation between feeling ahead or behind others, you develop a clear awareness of your evolution relative to your past self. The question becomes not, "Am I better than them?" but "Am I better than I was?" This creates a blueprint for growth that's uniquely calibrated to your journey and immune to the distortions of comparison. The illumination comes when you recognize that progress doesn't demand you be the best, only that you become better than before. This subtle distinction creates an entirely different psychological landscape for advancement. It replaces the anxiety of perpetual comparison with the satisfaction of personal evolution. It transforms the journey from a competition you may never win into a continuous process of becoming that no one can take from you. This internal orientation creates a profound restoration in your relationship with achievement. Instead of chasing ever-shifting external standards that may never bring fulfillment, you ground your sense of accomplishment in the tangible evidence of your own growth. Each capability developed, each fear overcome, each limitation transcended, becomes meaningful not because it positions you ahead of others, but because it represents authentic evolution beyond your former limitations. If you're committed to measuring your success by how far you've come, rather than how you compare to others, write in the comments, Better than yesterday, let's explore how your survival through past challenges serves as powerful evidence of your resilience and capacity to overcome whatever lies ahead. The most powerful evidence of your capacity isn't found in accolades or external validation, but in the simple fact that you're still standing despite what you've faced. Each hardship endured, each challenge navigated, each period of darkness survived serves as irrefutable testimony to your inherent strength. This isn't motivational rhetoric, it's a fundamental truth about the architecture of resilience. Think of your past difficulties not as unfortunate events, but as crucibles that have revealed capacities within you that might otherwise have remained dormant. The struggles that once seemed designed to break you have instead proven your unbreakable nature. The obstacles that appeared insurmountable now stand as monuments to your determination. Even mere survival through certain seasons of life represents an achievement of extraordinary magnitude when viewed through the proper lens. Behind the scenes of your continued presence lies evidence of something remarkable, a capacity to endure what many others might not. The fact that you've weathered storms, faced fears, and emerged still moving forward demonstrates something profound about your constitution. Those experiences haven't weakened you. They've fortified you with wisdom and capabilities that comfort alone could never provide. Now, I want to go even deeper into what truly constitutes progress in this journey. While our culture often fixates on external markers of advancement, the recognition, the applause, the public acknowledgement, the most meaningful measure of progress has nothing to do with what others notice or celebrate. True advancement is calculated through your capacity to persist when no one is watching, to maintain discipline when no external accountability exists, to continue moving forward when there's no immediate reward. This revelation transforms how we approach our daily choices, the decisions made in private, when there's no audience to impress, no validation to receive, no social media moment to capture. These become the true architects of lasting transformation. The quiet consistency maintained when only you would know if you quit, the principles upheld when compromise would be easier, the persistence demonstrated when no one would blame you for giving up. These represent the authentic currency of progress. The illumination comes when you recognize that endurance itself, the capacity to continue despite difficulty, constitutes a form of advancement that far outweighs any external achievement. The inner resources, developed through persistence, create a foundation for growth that external validation simply cannot provide. This isn't about suffering for its own sake. It's about recognizing the profound developmental value contained within the decision to continue when quitting would be easier. This perspective creates a profound shift in how you relate to the invisible portions of your journey. The days when you showed up despite not feeling motivated, the times you pushed forward despite seeing no immediate results, the moments you chose discipline over distraction when no one would have known the difference. These seemingly unremarkable decisions contain the true blueprint of your evolution. They represent evidence not just of what you've done, but of who you're becoming. The revelation transforms your relationship with recognition itself. Instead of craving external applause, you begin to value the internal knowledge that you're developing the capacity to endure, a quality that will serve you in every dimension of life. This doesn't mean external validation becomes meaningless. It simply means it no longer serves as the primary metric for measuring your growth. If you recognize that your strength is proven most powerfully through what you've already survived, write in the comments, "Tested and stronger." Let's explore how small victories stacked consistently create momentum that eventually becomes an unstoppable force in your journey. The architecture of unstoppable momentum reveals itself when we examine how lasting transformation actually unfolds. What appears as sudden breakthrough is almost always the result of small victories consistently accumulated over time. Each step forward, no matter how modest it might seem in isolation, fundamentally alters the landscape of what comes next, making subsequent progress not just possible, but increasingly natural. Think of momentum as a flywheel that initially requires significant effort to move. The first push is always the hardest. Breaking inertia demands more energy than any other phase of the journey. But with each additional push, the wheel gains speed. What once required enormous effort begins to turn with greater ease. This isn't mystical, it's mechanical. The principle of compound movement that governs both physical and psychological advancement. Behind the scenes of every remarkable transformation lies this same pattern, small victories stacked consistently until what once seemed impossible becomes almost inevitable. The writer who struggled to complete a single paragraph eventually produces pages with ease. The runner who once gasped after a quarter mile eventually covers miles in steady rhythm. This progression isn't random or magical. It's the natural consequence of accumulated momentum. Now, I want to go even deeper into the profound relationship between your past progress and your future capabilities. When you genuinely acknowledge how far you've already come, something remarkable happens within your neural pathways. The recognition of distance already traveled generates a particular quality of confidence that no external validation could ever provide. Belief rooted in tangible evidence rather than wishful thinking. This evidence-based belief transforms your relationship with future challenges. The mountain that once appeared insurmountable now appears as simply the next climb in a journey that has already included successful ascents. The obstacle that seems daunting becomes merely the next challenge for someone who has already proven their capacity to overcome. This isn't positive thinking. It's pattern recognition based on demonstrated evidence. The illumination comes when you realize that gratitude for your journey isn't just a pleasant emotional state. It's the actual foundation for sustainable confidence. When you appreciate the distance you've already covered, you activate the precise psychological and neurological conditions that make continued advancement possible. This appreciation doesn't diminish your hunger for growth. It fuels it by confirming your capacity. This revelation completely transforms how you approach setbacks and plateaus. Instead of interpreting them as evidence of limitation, you recognize them as temporary phases in a journey that has already included numerous breakthroughs. The question shifts from, "Can I overcome this?" to "How will I overcome this?" A subtle but profound distinction rooted in the evidence of your past progress. The blueprint for this momentum-building process contains a fascinating paradox. Acknowledging past achievement doesn't create complacency, but actually generates energy for future growth. Like a rocket that uses each stage to propel itself higher, your recognition of previous progress creates the thrust needed to reach new altitudes. This isn't abstract theory, it's the practical mechanics of sustainable advancement. If you've experienced how acknowledging one victory creates energy for the next challenge, write in the comments, "Momentum matters." Let's explore how your current position, which once seemed impossibly distant, reveals something profound about your capacity to reach what now appears unreachable. One of the most profound revelations along this journey comes when you pause to recognize that many aspects of your current reality, things that now seem ordinary, routine, even mundane, were once dreams that appeared distant, if not impossible. The position you now occupy, the skills you now possess, the challenges you now navigate with ease, all of these were once beyond your reach, existing only as aspirations or possibilities. This insight creates a remarkable shift in perspective when fully embraced. Think back to a specific goal you once considered a major milestone, perhaps learning a particular skill, reaching a certain position, developing a specific capacity, or overcoming a particular fear. Remember how daunting it seemed from a distance, how unattainable it appeared before you began. Yet now, that very achievement might be something you barely notice in your daily life. It has become your new normal. Behind the scenes of this transformation lies a profound truth about human development. The extraordinary eventually becomes ordinary through the process of integration. What once required conscious effort eventually becomes automatic. What once generated anxiety eventually feels comfortable. This pattern of assimilation isn't a diminishment of your achievement. It's evidence of your remarkable capacity for growth and adaptation. Now, I want to go even deeper into what this pattern reveals about your future potential. When you recognize that your current position, which once seemed impossibly distant, has become your starting point, you unlock a particular quality of confidence that's rooted not in wishful thinking, but in demonstrated evidence. Your history of transcending previous limitations serves as a reliable prophecy about your capacity to overcome whatever stands before you now. This evidence-based blueprint for your potential transforms how you approach current challenges. The obstacle that appears insurmountable today is no different in nature than previous obstacles that once seemed equally impossible, yet now stand conquered. The mountain before you may be taller, but the climber facing it is also stronger, more experienced, and better equipped because of previous ascents. The revelation emerges when you recognize that your past doesn't just inform your future, it actually guarantees certain aspects of it. Having developed resilience through previous difficulties ensures that quality remains available for current challenges. Having cultivated discipline through past commitments confirms that capacity exists for present pursuits. Having demonstrated creativity in former constraints proves that resource remains accessible for today's limitations. This perspective completely transforms your relationship with uncertainty. Instead of approaching new challenges with anxiety about whether you can overcome them, you engage with evidence-based confidence in how you will navigate them. The question shifts from if to how, a profound distinction rooted in the concrete evidence of your demonstrated capacity for growth and adaptation. The architecture of this confidence isn't built on empty affirmations or wishful thinking, but on the tangible record of your previous evolution. Each limitation transcended, each fear conquered, each skill developed represents a deposit in the account of your proven potential, and that account continues to accumulate interest even when you're not consciously aware of it. If you recognize how your past achievements prove your capacity for future growth, write in the comments, "My history predicts my potential." Let's explore how silencing doubt with evidence transforms your approach to the challenges that currently appear on your horizon. When doubt inevitably surfaces along your journey, as it does for everyone, you possess a powerful antidote that most never fully utilize. Rather than engaging in mental debate with uncertainty, you can simply redirect your attention to the concrete evidence of your growth. This isn't positive thinking, it's strategic deployment of factual evidence against the distortions of fear and uncertainty. Think of doubt as a prosecutor bringing charges against your potential. It presents a case for limitation, for inadequacy, for failure. But unlike a courtroom where defense relies on rhetoric, your defense has something far more powerful, tangible evidence of what you've already accomplished. Every obstacle overcome, every fear conquered, every skill developed stands as an exhibit that systematically dismantles doubt's argument. Behind the scenes of this evidence-based approach to confidence lies a profound revelation about how certainty is actually created. True confidence isn't manufactured through affirmations or wishful thinking. It emerges through the systematic accumulation of proof. When you direct your attention to the concrete reality of your progress, rather than the hypothetical scenarios of doubt, you create a foundation for belief that uncertainty simply cannot penetrate. Now, I want to go even deeper into perhaps the most transformative shift in this entire journey. The decision to view your past not as a prison that confines you, but as fuel that propels you forward. Every experience you've ever had, particularly the painful ones, contains potential energy that can either restrict your movement or accelerate your growth. The difference isn't in what happened, but in how you choose to relate to it. This perspective completely transforms your relationship with difficult experiences. The setbacks that once appeared only as evidence of limitation now reveal themselves as the very forces that developed your resilience. The rejections that seemed designed to diminish your confidence now stand as the catalysts that strengthened your resolve. The failures that appeared as proof of inadequacy now emerge as the essential teachers that refined your approach. The illumination comes when you recognize that your past experiences, all of them, represent raw material rather than finished conclusions. Like coal that can either remain buried or be transformed into energy, your experiences contain latent power waiting to be activated through your interpretation and application. This isn't about denying painful realities. It's about extracting their developmental value rather than remaining trapped by their initial impact. The revelation transforms how you approach your history. Instead of avoiding certain memories or trying to diminish their significance, you begin to mine them for the specific qualities they developed within you. The hardship that taught persistence, the failure that developed wisdom, the loss that deepened compassion. These aren't just events that happened to you, they're resources that shaped capabilities now available for your journey forward. This alchemy, the capacity to transform past difficulty into present power, represents perhaps the most significant distinction between those who remain defined by their history and those who use it as propulsion. The events themselves may be identical, but the relationship to those events creates entirely different outcomes. One becomes a ceiling that limits growth. The other becomes a foundation that supports expansion. If you recognize how your past difficulties have actually equipped you with unique strengths for your journey, write in the comments, "My history is my fuel." Let's explore how honoring your struggle creates a sacred relationship with your journey that fundamentally transforms how you navigate challenges. This sacred relationship with your journey emerges when you recognize that life's difficulties serve a profound purpose beyond what appears on the surface. The challenges you've faced weren't random punishments or cruel accidents of fate. They were precisely calibrated experiences designed to prepare you for what lies ahead. This isn't spiritual bypassing or toxic positivity. It's a fundamental truth about the mechanics of human development. Think of difficulty as nature's primary teaching mechanism. Just as muscles develop strength only through resistance, your inner resources expand only through challenge. The wisdom you now possess wasn't downloaded through comfort, but forged through struggle. The resilience that now serves you wasn't inherited, but developed through situations that demanded it. The compassion that defines your character wasn't theoretical, but cultivated through experiencing your own vulnerability. Behind the scenes of every significant growth period in your life lies this same pattern. Challenge preceded expansion. The situations that once appeared designed to limit, you were actually creating the precise conditions needed for breakthrough. This isn't revisionist history, it's recognizing the hidden architecture of transformation that often becomes visible only in retrospect. Now, I want to go even deeper into what your survival actually represents in the grand scheme of your journey. The fact that you've endured difficulties and remained standing, continuing to move forward despite what you've faced, demonstrates something profound about your essential nature. These challenges haven't broken you. They've refined you into someone stronger, wiser, and more resilient than you were before. This perspective completely transforms how you view past difficulties. Instead of seeing them as evidence of damage, you recognize them as proof of development. Like metal that emerges from fire, not weakened but strengthened, you have been forged rather than destroyed by the heat of your challenges. This isn't denying the reality of pain, it's recognizing the alchemy that transforms struggle into strength when approached with the right mindset. The illumination comes when you realize that your very presence here, still moving, still growing, still pursuing expansion despite what you've endured, stands as irrefutable evidence of your unbreakable nature. There were moments that should have stopped you, situations that could have defined you, challenges that might have derailed you completely. Yet here you are, continuing to evolve. That continuation itself represents a victory of extraordinary magnitude. This revelation transforms your relationship with both past difficulties and current challenges. The struggles you've already navigated weren't designed to punish you, but to prepare you with exactly the qualities needed for what lies ahead. The wisdom gained through painful experience, the resilience developed through adversity, the perspective cultivated through limitation, these represent precisely the resources required for your next level of growth. The blueprint for this transformation process contains a fascinating paradox. The very experiences that appeared most limiting often create the most significant expansion. The rejection that seemed designed to diminish you actually developed discernment that now serves your decisions. The failure that appeared to define your limitations actually revealed pathways to greater achievement. The loss that seemed only destructive actually created space for new possibilities that wouldn't have otherwise emerged. If you recognize how your challenges have prepared rather than punished you, write in the comments, "Forged, not broken." Let's explore how the struggles you've survived contain energy that can either burn you down or drive you forward, depending entirely on how you choose to use them. Every struggle you've endured contains within it a particular form of energy that exists regardless of how you choose to use it. This insight reveals perhaps the most transformative aspect of your journey. The very challenges that once appeared designed to diminish you actually contain precisely the ammunition needed for extraordinary growth. The question isn't whether this energy exists, it's how you choose to direct it. Think of your past difficulties as concentrated resources rather than mere events. The rejection that burned, the failure that stung, the loss that ached, each contains emotional and psychological energy that remains available long after the initial experience. Most people allow this energy to dissipate through rumination or bury it through avoidance. But those who understand the alchemy of transformation recognize something profound. This energy can be consciously redirected. Behind the scenes of every remarkable achievement lies this same pattern, someone who transformed the energy of difficulty into fuel for advancement. The entrepreneur whose business failed didn't just learn lessons, they converted the frustration into determination that powered their next venture. The artist who faced criticism didn't just develop thicker skin, they channeled the emotional response into deeper creative expression. The energy didn't disappear, it was redirected. Now, I want to go even deeper into the critical distinction that determines whether your history becomes a limitation or a catalyst. When you encounter past failures, the mistakes, the missteps, the moments you wish you could redo, you face a profound choice in how you relate to them. Most people unconsciously use these memories as instruments of self-punishment, creating internal narratives of inadequacy that generate shame rather than growth. This pattern of self-punishment creates a psychological prison where past failures define future possibilities. The mistake becomes evidence of limitation rather than a stepping stone toward mastery. The misjudgment becomes proof of inadequacy rather than a catalyst for wisdom. This interpretation doesn't just diminish confidence. It actively restricts access to the very energy contained within those experiences that could fuel forward movement. The revelation emerges when you recognize that these same experiences can be consciously reinterpreted as sources of motivation and wisdom. The failure that previously generated shame can be transformed into evidence of courage for having attempted something challenging. The mistake that created regret can be reframed as the precise experience that developed discernment now available for future decisions. Your history becomes either a chain that restricts or a charge that energizes, and you determine which through your conscious interpretation. This alchemy, transforming the energy of past difficulty into fuel for future advancement, represents perhaps the most significant distinction between those who remain defined by their history and those who use it as propulsion. The events themselves don't change, but your relationship to them creates entirely different outcomes. Like a skilled archer who draws energy from pulling back before releasing forward, you can use the tension of past challenges to propel yourself toward new possibilities. The breakthrough happens when you begin actively mining your difficulties for their developmental value, rather than allowing them to extract psychological costs. Instead of avoiding memories of failure, you intentionally examine them, not to punish yourself, but to extract the precise wisdom they contain. Instead of burying painful experiences, you consciously identify the specific strengths they developed within you that now serve your journey forward. If you recognize how your past struggles can be transformed from limitations into assets, write in the comments "energy redirected." Let's explore how your past has been actively preparing you for what lies ahead, equipping you with precisely the qualities needed for your next level of growth. One of the most powerful revelations in your journey of personal evolution comes when you fully grasp this truth. Your past experiences provide the raw material for extraordinary growth without determining the limits of your future. This distinction transforms how you relate to your history, not as a definition of who you are, but as the fuel that propels who you're becoming. Think of your past challenges as weights in a gym rather than chains in a prison. When you lift weights, the resistance creates temporary discomfort but builds lasting strength. The weight itself doesn't define the lifter, it simply creates the conditions necessary for growth. In the same way, your difficult experiences haven't defined your capacity. They've developed it through the resistance they provided. The struggle itself created strength that comfort alone could never produce. Behind the scenes of this transformational process lies a profound truth about human development. Your identity isn't fixed by what happened to you. It's continually evolving through how you use what happened. The past provides raw material, experiences, lessons, insights, strengths, but you determine how that material gets shaped into your future. Like clay in the hands of a sculptor, your history offers substance without dictating the final form. Now, I want to go even deeper into what truly distinguishes those who achieve extraordinary things from those who remain defined by their circumstances. The blueprint for greatness isn't found in perfect histories, but in transformed difficulties. Those who reach the highest levels of achievement aren't those who never experience brokenness. They're those who refuse to let brokenness have the final word. This revelation completely shifts how we view struggle and imperfection. Most people hide their wounds, minimize their failures, or try to outrun their difficult histories. But those who understand the architecture of greatness recognize something profound. These very experiences contain the energy that, when properly channeled, creates extraordinary impact. The wound becomes a source of wisdom. The failure becomes a foundation for innovation. The struggle becomes a wellspring of resilience. The illumination comes when you realize that what most consider disadvantages often become the very catalysts for exceptional achievement when approached with the right mindset. The entrepreneur whose early financial hardship developed resourcefulness that now drives innovation. The artist whose emotional pain created depth of expression that resonates with millions. The leader whose personal failures developed humility and wisdom that now inspires others. These aren't people who succeeded despite their struggles. They succeeded because they refused to waste the energy contained within those difficulties. This perspective creates a profound restoration in how you view your own history. Instead of attempting to minimize or escape your past challenges, you begin mining them for the specific qualities they've developed within you. The resilience forged through difficulty, the empathy cultivated through pain, the wisdom earned through failure. These become the precise resources that fuel exceptional achievement rather than limiting it. The breakthrough happens when you stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and start recognizing, "How has this equipped me?" This shift transforms your relationship with your past from passive victim to active creator, from someone defined by circumstances to someone fueled by them. If you recognize how your challenges have equipped rather than limited you, write in the comments, "Transformed, not defined." Let's explore how genuine self-belief grows not from empty affirmations, but from tangible evidence of what you've already proven possible through your actions. The most profound transformation in your journey occurs when you recognize that every experience you've ever had, particularly the difficult ones, contains energy that's waiting to be harnessed. Most people unconsciously waste this energy through one of two patterns, either dwelling in regret about what happened or attempting to bury the experience entirely. Both approaches prevent them from accessing the potential power contained within those very difficulties. Think about the energy contained in your past like water behind a dam. When left unaddressed, it either stagnates or creates pressure that eventually cracks the foundation. But when intentionally channeled, that same water generates power that can illuminate entire cities. Your experiences work the same way. The emotional and psychological energy they contain doesn't simply disappear. It either remains trapped in cycles of regret or gets released as fuel for your advancement. Behind the scenes of every significant breakthrough lies this same pattern. Someone who refused to waste the energy of their past by transforming it into momentum for their future. They didn't pretend difficult experiences never happened. They didn't diminish their significance. They didn't remain trapped in endless cycles of regret. Instead, they mined those experiences for the specific wisdom, strength, and perspective they contained, qualities that became the very foundation for their extraordinary impact. Now, I want to go even deeper into how you relate to your history on this journey of evolution. Most people approach their past as something to escape, minimize, or overcome, a burden to be carried until it can finally be set down. But this perspective fundamentally misunderstands the purpose of experience. Your past wasn't designed as weight to hold you back, but as illumination to light your path forward. This revelation completely transforms your relationship with your history. Instead of trying to outrun or erase difficult experiences, you begin to recognize how they illuminate aspects of life that would otherwise remain in darkness. The rejection that hurt deeply didn't just cause pain, it developed discernment that now guides your decisions. The failure that seemed devastating didn't just create setback, it revealed blind spots that needed attention for your continued growth. The loss that felt unbearable didn't just take something away, it created space for what needed to emerge next. The illumination comes when you realize your past experiences serve as both evidence of what you've already overcome and prophecy of what you'll continue to conquer. Every challenge navigated, every obstacle surmounted, every period of darkness survived stands as irrefutable proof of your capacity for endurance. This evidence doesn't just document where you've been, it guarantees what you're capable of moving forward. This perspective creates a profound restoration in how you carry your history. Instead of it weighing you down, it actually lights the way forward, revealing patterns to avoid, wisdom to apply, strengths to leverage. Like a torch carried in darkness, your past experiences illuminate the path ahead, revealing both obstacles and opportunities that would otherwise remain invisible. If you recognize how your history can illuminate rather than burden your path forward, write in the comments, "Light not weight." Let's explore how self-belief isn't manufactured through empty affirmations, but cultivated through the tangible evidence of what you've already proven possible through your actions. The architecture of genuine self-belief reveals one of the most profound truths on this journey of personal evolution. Authentic confidence isn't manufactured through positive thinking or empty affirmations. It's cultivated through tangible evidence of what you've already proven possible. This distinction transforms how we approach the development of unshakable confidence in our capabilities. Think about how people typically attempt to build self-belief. They repeat phrases like, "I am confident," or "I can do this," while their internal evidence database contains contradictory proof. This creates cognitive dissonance rather than genuine confidence. The mind doesn't respond to empty declarations, it responds to demonstrated evidence. True self-belief doesn't precede action, it emerges as the natural result of action consistently taken. Behind the scenes of every person with authentic confidence lies this same pattern. They didn't talk themselves into believing. They acted themselves into knowing. They faced fears, pushed through resistance, and navigated challenges, and in doing so they created irrefutable evidence of their capacity. Each small victory, each obstacle overcome, each fear conquered became a deposit in the account of their self-belief, and that account continues to grow with each new demonstration of capability. Now I want to go even deeper into what truly forges the person you're becoming along this journey. Most people fixate almost exclusively on destinations, the achievement, the milestone, the finish line, without recognizing that the true gift lies in the path itself. The journey, with all its obstacles, delays, and challenges, is where the actual transformation occurs. It's not reaching the goal that matters most, it's who you become in the process of pursuing it. This revelation completely shifts your relationship with the difficulties encountered along your path. Instead of seeing obstacles as unfortunate barriers to your destination, you begin recognizing them as the essential architects of your character. The resistance that tests your resolve, the setbacks that demand adaptation, the delays that cultivate patience. These aren't unfortunate detours on the way to your goal. They're the very elements that forge the qualities most valuable for your continued evolution. The illumination comes when you realize that the discipline being developed through your journey, the capacity to continue when motivation fades, to show up when no one is watching, to persist when progress seems invisible, is actually far more valuable than whatever destination initially inspired your movement. The goal serves primarily as the magnet that draws you into the transformational process, but the process itself creates the person capable of achievements beyond what you initially imagined possible. This perspective creates a profound restoration in how you approach challenges. Instead of resenting the difficulties or trying to find the easiest path to your destination, you begin recognizing how the resistance itself creates the strength you seek. like the butterfly that requires the struggle of emerging from its chrysalis to strengthen its wings for flight. Your capacity develops precisely through engaging with the obstacles rather than avoiding them. The breakthrough happens when you stop asking, "When will I arrive?" and start asking, "Who am I becoming through this journey?" This shift transforms your relationship with progress itself, from impatient fixation on future results to appreciation for the present development occurring with each step, each challenge, each moment of persistence when giving up would be easier. If you recognize how the journey itself is building the person you're becoming, write in the comments, process over destination. Let's explore how the discipline forged through consistent choice creates freedom that motivation alone could never provide. As we reach this point in our conversation, I'm reminded of something Neville Goddard often emphasized, that awareness itself is transformative. The simple act of recognizing how far you've come, of honoring your unique journey rather than comparing it to others, creates an immediate shift in how you experience your life. It's not just about feeling better, it's about activating the precise energetic signature needed for continued evolution. If what we've explored today has illuminated something within you, if you've recognized patterns in your own journey that suddenly make more sense, I'd love for you to join us on this ongoing exploration. Subscribe to continue this conversation about transforming our relationship with progress, with our past, and with our potential. Each video builds upon these foundations, offering new perspectives that expand what's possible. When you subscribe, you're not just following content, you're joining a community of people committed to authentic growth rather than comparison-based achievement. People who understand that your journey isn't meant to mirror anyone else's, but to reflect your unique path of evolution. If this message found you at exactly the right moment, leave a comment saying, "The journey continues." I read every comment and find such value in hearing how these ideas intersect with your unique experience. And if you found value in today's exploration, a simple like creates ripples that extend these ideas to others who might need precisely this perspective right now. There's a video right here that complements today's journey, exploring how to transform obstacles into your greatest allies. Click and continue with me over there, where we'll dive even deeper into this transformation process. Until then, remember, the only path that matters is the one uniquely yours.